right, Joe Biden emerged from his basement and kind of hit the campaign trail in his own town a few minutes away from his house. This afternoon, he made it very clear that you should probably keep him away from your children.
To get our people to work and our kids to school safely, to get our kids to market swiftly, to power a clean energy revolution in this country, we need to modernize America's infrastructure.
Right, a little confused by the crawl as well as the statement. Well, he better get the kids to market soon because the planet does not have much time.
Science tells us we have 9 years before the damage is irreversible.
Okay, in the spirit of that, Biden embraced a $2 trillion Green New Deal proposal. While we can all agree that the plan will radically expand Biden's power over all of us, not everyone agrees that it will help fight global warming. Michael Shellenberger is the president of Environmental Progress and best-selling author of Apocalypse Never, helped write the new Green Deal. Michael, what do you think, what do you say to Joe Biden's proposal from what we know, adding to the $2 trillion over 4 years to have all clean energy? He wants 100% clean electricity standards by 2035.
I mean, the problem is that we already know the effects of these policies. I helped to implement them and advocate them in the early 2000s. We spent over $250 billion on renewables, and everywhere they're deployed at scale, electricity prices go up. In fact, a former Obama administration economist did a major study for the University of Chicago, finding that in all the states that did renewable mandates, electricity prices rose. In my home state of California, electricity prices rose 6 times more than the national average. So you're actually paying twice. We're paying first with subsidies, which increase the deficit, and then we're also paying higher electricity prices. And then the second big concern, of course, is that because renewables are so inefficient, industrial wind farms and industrial solar farms require about 400 times more land than a natural gas or nuclear plant. The impacts on wildlife are enormous. So we see industrial wind turbines killing condors, bald eagles, and now they want to string up transmission line through the sandhills of Nebraska, which would potentially kill whooping cranes, one of our most beloved endangered species.
Michael, who's writing this stuff? This is something that we heard Jay Inslee talk about. We heard Elizabeth Warren talk about. This has never been part of Joe Biden's agenda. Since when?
Well, that's probably fair. I mean, I think the obvious thing, if you cared about nuclear power, you would do nuclear energy. I mean, if you cared about climate change, you would do nuclear power. The only country that significantly reduced its emissions is France. It's 75% nuclear. It spends about half as much for electricity as Germany, which is phasing out nuclear and scaling up renewables. Look, I just think that the radical left has just taken a big part of the Democratic Party. One of the things that I was really surprised to discover in researching Apocalypse Never is that really it's just about a dozen people that were major donors to President Obama who benefited the most from really about $90 billion in subsidies and taxpayer subsidies. So my concern here is it's not just that it's bad for consumers, bad for workers. You increase energy prices and there's always the risk that more jobs will go to China. Unemployment's already at 10%, but it also just ends up rewarding the insiders, the people that have special access to the president.
Michael, 30 seconds. What will happen if we rejoin the Paris climate deal?
Look, I think there's always been this effort by United Nations officials and some scientists to want to try to control energy and food production around the world. Those decisions are really best made by countries on their own. Look, you know, most carbon emissions in rich countries have gone down. Our carbon emissions have gone down over the last 15 years. In Apocalypse Never, I talk about how that's actually due to the fracking natural gas revolution, which most environmentalists oppose. So the two technologies that have done the most to address climate change and reduce humankind's impact on the natural environment, fracking and nuclear power, are actually opposed by candidate Biden's coalition, and that's what concerns me.
Yeah, interesting. It's always great to be in agreement with Russia and China. They always live up to their obligations. Michael, thanks so much. Appreciate your expertise. It's a great book. Meanwhile, we forge ahead. Nearly 4 years. You're welcome.